Hello, my friend. Welcome. I'm your doctor with over 20 years of experience, and today I'm here to talk to you about a medicinal leaf that may help cleanse your liver in just 1 week. But let's take it step by step. I'll also share some important tips and talk about prevention. So, if you enjoy this kind of content and want to receive more information like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from. You think your liver needs expensive medication, some pharmacy detox juice, or one of those miracle cleanses popping up all over social media to actually clean itself out? Most people believe there's some magic formula, sold in a fancy bottle, that's going to fix years of neglect in just 7 days. Let me tell you straight, that's a lie. And what worries me most in my daily practice is watching people spend their grocery money on questionable capsules while they ignore a green leaf, dirt cheap, that grows in grandma's backyard, and that science has actually shown to have a real effect on liver cells. I'm a physician, and over the past several years I've been closely following patients with fatty liver, inflamed liver, liver enzymes through the roof. And I noticed a pattern. Almost all of them went through a phase of chasing complicated solutions before they discovered the answer was right there, in the spice rack, at the local farmer's market, in a bunch that costs less than a loaf of bread. Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to walk you through 3 absurd myths I've heard 1,000 times in my office. I'm going to show you which leaf quietly cleans the liver, and the third myth is the one that actually keeps me up at night, because it involves a belief that most American families have right inside their own home. But before we go any further, I have to be honest with you. The title of this video talks about cleaning the liver, and I'm going to explain that properly, because my commitment to you is medical truth, not sensationalism. No leaf in the world is going to dissolve cirrhosis once it's set in. The liver has an impressive ability to regenerate, but that ability has limits. What this leaf does, yes, is help reduce inflammation, protect healthy cells, and improve markers that show up in blood work. 7 days don't reverse 10 years of sugar, alcohol, and ultra-processed food. But 3 to 6 months of consistency with a halfway decent diet change the lives of a lot of people. And I see it happen every single week. Now let's talk about the first myth. Most people believe the liver warns you when it's sick, that it's going to hurt, give you a sharp pain, throw out some clear symptom. Think about that. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, my liver feels heavy today"? The scientific truth is the opposite. The liver doesn't have pain-sensing nerve endings inside it. It only hurts when it swells so much that it stretches the capsule wrapping around it, and by then the problem is already in an advanced stage. Pay attention to that detail because it changes everything. Data from the American Liver Foundation shows that roughly 1 in 3 American adults has fatty liver disease, 30 out of every 100 people, and the overwhelming majority feel absolutely nothing. They find out by accident, on a routine checkup, on an ultrasound done for some other reason. Or worse, they find out when the disease has already progressed to a serious inflammation called non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Here's the point. The liver is the quietest organ in the body. It's like a water treatment plant filtering day and night, never complaining, never sounding any alarm, until the moment the filters finally clog up for good. That's exactly what happened with Mr. Robert. 63 years old, retired auto mechanic, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, married for 41 years to his wife Linda, father of 3, grandfather of 5, who he absolutely adored. He came to my office referred by his cardiologist, with blood work showing 2 liver enzymes 3 times above normal range. I looked at him and asked, "How are you feeling, sir?" And he answered, with that calm Midwestern way of his, "Doc, I've never had a drink in my life. How is my liver this beat up?" I'll never forget the look on his face. It was the look of a man who felt betrayed by his own body. And here's where the conversation gets really important, because the second myth is exactly that. Most people believe fatty liver is a problem for heavy drinkers. Plain and simple, they think if you don't touch alcohol, you're in the clear. Wrong. Today, the most common form of liver disease in the United States is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, meaning fatty liver in people who don't drink. How does that happen? Excess glucose, fructose from sodas and store-bought juices, refined carbs at every single meal, insulin resistance. The liver is a metabolic organ, and when you overload it with sugar, it stores that excess as fat, right inside its own cells. It's like dumping a bucket of fructose straight into the factory, with no protective filter at all. Over time, the factory chokes. That's exactly what was happening with Mr. Robert. When I sat down and went through his diet, it became crystal clear. Breakfast was a bagel with cream cheese, a slice of American cheese, and a glass of orange juice from the carton. Lunch was a sandwich on white bread, chips, and a soda. Afternoon snack was a pack of cookies and coffee with sugar. Dinner came with bread on the side. Before bed, another glass of juice. In 24 hours, his liver was getting a load of sugars and ultra-processed foods that would make any treatment plant collapse. Before I reveal which leaf comes into this story, I need to ask you something. If this content is helping you, if you're learning something maybe nobody in your family ever explained to you, hit that like button right now. That simple gesture helps this video reach more people who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now and turn on the bell. And tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I love seeing where this community is growing. Now the leaf. The name is boldo. More specifically, the boldo plant, scientifically known as Pumice boldus, originally from Chile, but now widely cultivated and easy to find in herbal markets, online, and in many health food stores across the country. That dark green leaf, rough to the touch, with a strong, distinctive smell, the kind of plant herbalists have used for generations, and that grandmothers in many cultures kept on the kitchen windowsill to brew tea when somebody had stomach trouble. Well, this leaf contains compounds called boldine and a few related alkaloids that have a documented effect on liver function. Researchers at the University of Chile in Santiago have published studies showing that boldo extracts increase bile production, improve gallbladder emptying, protect liver cells against oxidative stress, and help with fat digestion. Plain and simple, the leaf helps the treatment plant work with more flow. And here's the point hardly anyone talks about. A study published in the journal Phytotherapy Research looked at the effect of boldo on patients with chronic digestive complaints and showed a significant reduction in inflammation markers after 8 weeks of regular use. Researchers at the University of Chile showed that boldine has antioxidant action comparable to some isolated vitamins. And the best part? The cost is practically nothing. A bag of dried boldo leaves at a herbal shop costs about the price of a coffee. Grown at home, it costs nothing. But, let me explain, not just any boldo tea is going to do the job. And it's not something to drink every day forever in any dose. The ideal way is fresh or properly dried leaves, lightly crushed, steeped in just boiled water, and covered for 5 minutes. 1 cup in the morning, on an empty stomach, or after a heavier meal. And here comes an important warning. Pregnant women shouldn't use it. People with bile duct obstruction shouldn't use it either. And anyone on blood thinners needs to talk to their doctor first. That's a rule that never changes. And this is exactly where the third myth comes in, the one I told you keeps me up at night. Most people believe that if a plant is natural, it's safe in any dose. Think with me. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, it's just tea, it can't hurt," and then they drink 5 cups a day for months on end, thinking the more, the better? The truth is the opposite. Excessive and prolonged doses of boldo can actually irritate the liver, the very organ you're trying to protect. The dose makes the poison. Anything that's medicine, in excess, becomes harmful. That phrase is old, but it's just as true today as it was in Paracelsus's time. I treated Mrs. Margaret, 56 years old, a wonderful home cook, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, mother of 4, grandmother of 7. She came to my office because she'd read on a social media post that boldo tea cleansed the liver. She was drinking 4 strong cups a day for 7 months straight, no breaks. When I saw her labs, her liver enzymes were worse than before. She told me, with tears in her eyes, "Doc, I did everything they said. How could it have gone wrong?" Look at that. This concerns me deeply in my practice. Information arrives unfiltered, with no context, no proper dose. And the patient, trying to do good, ends up doing harm. What hurts me most as a physician isn't seeing patients arrive with cirrhosis already set in. It's seeing patients like Mrs. Margaret, who tried to do the right thing the wrong way because nobody explained it properly. Now I'm going to teach you how to use this leaf intelligently. It's not just about drinking tea. It's about understanding that boldo is a helper, not a miracle. It fits inside a bigger strategy, and that strategy has some practical points I'm going to hand you right now. The first change is simple and carries a lot of weight. Start your day with water. Before any food, a big glass of room temperature water. Your liver worked all night long, processing whatever was left from dinner, and it needs hydration to keep its cleansing processes moving. That water acts as the first fuel of the day for the treatment plant. Without water, the filters stiffen up. The second change is including protein and good fats in breakfast. A boiled egg, a slice of cheese, some avocado, a handful of nuts. These foods slow down glucose absorption and reduce the load that hits the liver in the early hours of the day. Think of it this way. Protein is the brake that stops sugar from rushing in like a runaway truck. The third change is swapping juice from the carton for whole fruit. And here the numbers really stand out. A whole orange has about 9 grams of natural sugar and almost 3 grams of fiber. A glass of store-bought juice can have 30 grams of sugar and 0 fiber. The difference is brutal. Fiber is exactly what stops fructose from hitting the liver all at once. Without fiber, the factory chokes again. The fourth change involves Boldo. 1 cup, 3 to 4 times a week, not every day, always alternating with rest weeks every 2 months. That's the safe protocol. The leaf comes in as an ally, not as an obsession. And it can be combined with other liver-friendly plants like turmeric, dandelion, and artichoke, always in moderation. The fifth change, and maybe the most important of all, is sleeping well. 7 to 8 hours, in a dark room, with consistency. Because it's during deep sleep that the liver does most of its real detox work. There's no tea in the world that makes up for a bad night of sleep. Coming back to Mr. Robert. 6 months after that first appointment, he came back for follow-up. He had lost almost 20 pounds, swapped the juices for whole fruit, traded white bread for whole grain at one of his daily meals, added Boldo 3 times a week. His labs came back nearly normal. He looked at me, took off his cap, and said something I still hold on to today. "Doc, it feels like something shifted on the inside. I woke up with energy for the first time in years." That look of gratitude was worth more than any prescription I could have written. Let's recap. The liver is silent and almost never warns you when it's suffering. Fatty liver today is more common in people who don't drink than in people who do because of the overload of sugar and ultra-processed food. Boldo is a cheap leaf, available at most herbal shops, with real effects backed by Chilean and international studies on liver function, but it has to be used with intelligence, not excess. It works as a helper inside a strategy that involves hydration, real food, sleep, and movement. Your body is not your enemy. It's trying all the time to find balance, to heal, to adapt. When the liver starts piling up fat, when enzymes climb, when fatigue shows up out of nowhere, those are calls for help. The liver is the treatment plant that keeps the water of your life clean, and that plant doesn't need an imported formula. It needs respect, consistency, and sometimes a green leaf that grandmothers around the world already knew about. Send this video to that uncle who's always complaining about his liver after the holidays, to that friend who drinks 3 glasses of juice a day thinking she's taking care of herself, to that cousin whose last lab results are sitting in a drawer untouched. You might be handing them the piece of information that changes the story of their liver. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through 5 signs that show up on your skin and in your eyes when the liver is truly starting to fail. Signs that appear even before blood tests change. Signs that most people confuse with regular tiredness or just getting older. You're not going to want to miss it. Take care of your liver. It's the plant that keeps the water of your life clean.